Thanks everyone for coming in. I think a lot of you guys would have actually seen the news yesterday and day before, and that's probably how you found out about the new MasterCamp that collaboratively KPMG in India and Masters Union have launched. And today we're going to go through the ins and outs of the entire program. We'll actually go through the curriculum that will be taught. We'll go through all the interventions that will be part of this program. We'll also talk about the virtual internship that's part of this program. We'll talk about all the things and we'll also address all of your questions. But before I get started, I want to introduce Vijay and Shubhro, who are essentially the heart and soul, respectively, of this program. So let's start with Vijay. So of course, Vijay is an associate partner at KPMG in India. And he's had, I think, 2 decades of experience working in management consulting, talent development, general management, sales, whatnot. But my favorite part is that, for the last few years, he was a technology entrepreneur. And that's what me and Vijay have in common. So I think that's why we get along. But Vijay is someone that I'm really inspired by his vision for education and how he just sort of thinks about the entire edtech space, about the talent development issues, etc. So I'm really looking forward to listen to Vijay. Thanks again for taking time out, Vijay. We really look forward to hearing from you. And second, of course, Shubhro. He's a director with KPMG in India. Again, decades of experience and more on the finance side, accounting side, compliance, audit, deals, financial reporting, process advisory, technical accounting, right? All the buzzwords that you guys can possibly think of. Shubhro's been there, done that. And of course, he spent a lot of time in Australia as well. So he understands international finance, international accounting, and all the things that come with it. Shubhro, thanks so much for taking the time as well for coming in. I know you are the specialist, resident specialist on the curriculum. And I'm sure you have a lot of interesting insights for us today. We also have Meenakshi and we have Vaibhav, who will be helping us through this entire process and through the course as well. So that's all from my end. I will now hand over to Vijay and Shubhro and let them sort of spearhead this entire program and talk to you guys about, what are the needs in the industry, why this is a very, critical time in the industry where talent is just not available, and how you guys can sort of make use of this opportunity, and upskill yourself to fit the kind of roles and needs that the industry has today. So Vijay and Shubhro, over to you.
Thank you, Pratham. Thank you for those kind words. I'm not sure I deserve all of that, but thank you. I'm very happy to be here, and thank you for hosting us. So what I wanted to do, just for the benefit of everyone, is talk a little bit about finance as a function in general, right, and what's happening in the industry. And once we look at that, we'll then talk about what kind of challenges different organizations are facing with respect to finance talent, and where did the genesis of this program come about? How did we think about this program? What is the issue that we're trying to solve? And then you can, once we talk through this overview, you'll kind of get a sense of where all of you fit in. Where, what's the puzzle? Where will you fit in? What kind of opportunities you have? And then, of course, we'll deep dive into some of the curriculum, and Shubhro will take us through all that you can expect to learn as a part of this program, right? So, so finance is a high growth domain, and there are a few reasons for it. First and foremost, as you can see in the country today, there's a lot of growth that we have seen, and when the economy grows, when companies grow, there is a need for finance professionals. And there are a lot of companies, Indian companies, have become multinationals. There are a lot of startups, a lot of startup activities going on. You day in and day out, you hear about unicorns and stuff. And because of all of that, the need for finance professionals has skyrocketed. Second trend is that for the past many decades, at least 2 decades or more than 2 decades, India has been a place where global players have, kind of relocated their finance processes. And Indian companies and Indian or Indian units of global companies have delivered finance processes and they're delivered on their key deliverables with high degree of quality. And not only that, I mean, and they've done it repeatedly. So over the past many years, India is no longer the lowest cost destination. And that was the first point why finance processes came to India in the first place. But because of the quality of work that India as a country, all the Indian companies they have delivered, people keep coming back to India again and again. So despite not being, the lowest cost today, we still see a huge number of finance jobs coming to India. So now if I combine the two, which is the growth in the Indian companies and the growth that we are seeing in global companies, the finance as a profession has really, I would say, become a very high growth field. And there are opportunities, there are tremendous amount of opportunities you have. And if you see the data on the slide, and if you just type finance, you'll see the number of jobs which are out there in the market. Naukri lists about, and this is data from 18th Jan, which is today, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So this is 167,000 jobs if you just type finance, and you can also, of course, go, refine your search and try other, search terms, and you'll see the number of jobs that are available here. And then these jobs, if we go to the next slide, these jobs are across all different sort of profiles. So it is not just just accounting. There is R2R, which is a record to report. There is O2C, which is on the sales side of things, which is order to cash. And there is finance and accounting. There's controllership, and there's so many other different types of roles. And if you see the roles that are the jobs that are available, they are fairly well paying. Entry-level jobs can start between 4 or 5 lakhs, go up to 10 lakhs, 20 lakhs, depending on your experience, depending on what kind of skills you bring to the table, right? So, but then there is a bit of a problem that we have seen. Actually, a bit of a problem is an understatement. There's a severe problem. If you go to the next slide, although there are lots of jobs, every company, if you go to any company, you will find there's the same story that is repeated, which is people hire, companies hire people, but then they spend a lot of time training them for their requirements. Meaning the input people that are coming in, they lack, certain skills, and those skills are, basic technical knowledge, and when I say basic technical, finance knowledge. And finance knowledge, not from a theoretical standpoint. People have theoretical knowledge, but the practical insights, the practical way in which finance can be applied and used in a company, that is something which is missing. There are technology gaps. There are lots of different tools that are used and people don't have those skills, and we have to train people on those skills. And lastly, it is communication skills or soft skills, the behavioral skills that are required to be successful as a finance professional. And this is one area where finance professionals don't, pay a lot of attention to. But believe me, that is the number one reason people don't get jobs. And that's also the number one reason sometimes people are not able to climb up the corporate ladder, the soft skills and the behavioral skills. So the net result of all of this is that companies end up spending tremendous amount of money to train people to be upskilled in that for a particular job. How are we trying to solve this problem? So this problem of talent, while people are available, but the real talent that is deployable quickly is not available, right? So what we figured out is that we need to train people, get people ready for those critical elements that I talked about, which is first give them a lot of practical insights through case studies and through virtual internships and assignments and all of that. That's one. Train people on the technical tools they'll use. It could be SAP or any of the ERP tools. It could also be, let's say, things like Power BI or Tableau, people who use it for analytics. It could also be Excel. And I'm not talking of the simple Excel sheet. I'm talking about some of the advanced Excel skills that is required as a finance professional. The other things that are very important is getting the guidance from experienced practitioner to be able to imbibe some of those skills and be ready for Yeah. Now, why are we stressing on all this? The thing is that what happens is the moment you are trained on all of these skills, when you apply for a job later, for all those thousands of jobs which are available, you apply for to any company, you will actually have an edge over the person who has not gone through a similar sort of a training. And that's the thing that we're trying to build through this program. We have designed this course called MasterCamp in Applied Finance. It is a 12-month program. It's a very hands-on program for students, final year students, and young professionals, people with 1 or 2 years of experience. It covers all the key elements that are required that I talked of earlier, which is it'll go in depth and give a very practical orientation from a finance standpoint, and we'll go down the curriculum shortly. It will talk about all the technical skills required. It will talk about all the software that are being used in the industry today. It will give you all the soft skills that are required for you to be successful in a career in finance. And this is a program, the way we visualize this, it is going to be taught 100% by KPMG. For 6 months, you're going to be going through class and assignments, etc. There are 5 terms. After that, there will be 6 months of virtual internship, right? It is going to be done during the weekend so that it is convenient enough for you to attend college or school, or if you're working, attend office, and then only the weekends you attend these classes. And we have designed this MasterCamp. It's mainly aimed at people who are just getting into the workforce, people who are fresh out of college or in the final year, or people who are with 1 or 2 years of experience who are aiming to transition to a career in finance. And it's a course which will give you the edge to get into a career in finance. The one thing that I talked about earlier is that this is a course that is going to be taught to you by practitioners. And we have some of the practitioners here on the call. I'll be teaching business partnering, which is a very key element in finance. There's Shubhro. Shubhro is going to take you through the curriculum, and he's the finance and accounting guru in our team. And then you have Karan, who will teach you a lot of different aspects in finance. He's a partner with KPMG. And then, of course, there's Amit, there's Minakshi, and this is just a representative list. The number of people who are going to come and talk, it's a fairly large group of people who are going to come and teach you different subjects over the period of a year.
Vijay, can I just stop you 1 second
Sure.
here, right? I think it's incredibly important for us to realize this, that the way education is sort of moving, right? It's moving in a direction where it's going to be practitioner-led, right? In a medical college, it's always the doctors who are teaching how to be a doctor. In many law schools as well, it's real lawyers who come and teach, right? But in finance and business, in engineering as well, what we see in colleges is that, it's not the practitioners who are teaching, it's professors who themselves have never managed finance before for a company, right? And we think that's where the gap really comes in education, right? That's where we feel that, students are not able to get trained the way the industry really needs them to be trained. And I think that's why we are so excited about this program, because we have real practitioners, who have been working their entire lives, now taking time off over their weekends and teaching, right? And that's really, what education, should be about. And that's why, I believe this program will have a lot of impact. You can continue from here, Vijay.
Sure. Thanks, Pratham. So like I mentioned earlier, the entire journey is going to be 12 months. There is first 6 months, there are going to be 5 terms of 6 weeks each. And, in the brochure, we have given all the details about term-wise what we're going to teach, what are the things that we're going to look at. One of the key things that we will do as a part of this entire journey is that it is not just the finance, even if it's practical, it's not a very generic sort of a finance that we're going to teach. It has a layer of industry knowledge that we're going to layer it on. So anyone who goes through the course is going to go through, will understand how is finance and accounting done, let's say in banks and financial services organizations. It could be investment banks, or it could be brokerages and so on and so forth. You will also get a very good understanding of how finance and accounting is done in in, let's say, product companies, in technology companies, and so on and so forth. So the entire learning journey will consist of the classes as well as the assignments during the first 5 terms. And after that, it will be the 6-month virtual internship, where it is going to be a theme-based projects and assignments that you're going to do. And when I say theme-based, it is, let me give an example. Let's say one of the projects could be, there's a new revenue standard that comes in, and you need to analyze that revenue standard and make a presentation to your CFO to say that what is the impact of the financial statement on the financial reporting based on this new revenue standard, right? So if I take an example like that, you will have to first understand what the revenue standard is, apply your critical thinking skills, and understand what is the impact that's going to create in your financial statements, and then maybe write a report, and also create a presentation, and then actually deliver the presentation maybe to to a panel or to an instructor. And so that it is one assignment, but it's something that is you are using all your skills that you're going to be taught as a part of your program. So that's how we have kind of designed it. It's kind of designed to give you a very real world feel of how it will actually be when you are working in an organization. And parallel to the academic part of this program, you will have a career development journey, which will talk about your mentoring, how you will create a personal branding, your workshops, the interview preps, and of course, industry placement, which Pratham, I think you can talk about in detail of how Masters Union can help you around the placements, right? I'm going to hand over to Shubhro now. We are going to deep dive into the syllabus right now. So, and then Shubhro is the best person to take you through what we are going to teach in a lot of detail. Shubhro, over to you.
Thanks, Vijay. Hi, guys. So before we dive into the curriculum, one of the key things when there are a lot of master's courses out there, I think when we started designing the curriculum, we wanted to make this, we put ourselves in our shoes as people who hire, as well as maybe I put ourselves back a few years to 17 years for me when I started out working in the finance function. So we sat back and we thought, what could help us, make hiring easier for me now? And what would have made my life simpler when I was a student at that time, or a guy who just joined the finance function after doing a very technical master's course in Australia. So what we said was, there are a lot of courses out there which teaches accounting, technical accounting. We want to make it very real. And how do we do that? So we took a step back and we said, okay, this is the finance function. So finance function covers a lot of areas. So, when you're a financial controller, you've got to, think about revenue recognition. You've got to think about your accounts, who you pay, your accounts payable, your receivables. And, there are various areas of a finance function you want to learn before you can start controlling a finance function, for example. So the way we broke up the course, and I'll get into it, is we looked at it from a process perspective, which is a very different angle to, traditional accounting courses, which is all technical. We will cover technical, but we thought, let's look at it from a process perspective. What are the areas which a finance function comprises of? And then let's build up the blocks to your technical. On that thought, I'll elaborate further when we go into the terms. So for example, when you're starting out in accounting, you need to know what is accounting. For myself, I was an economics grad from St. Xavier's in Calcutta, and then I did my master's in Australia. I never touched accounting. I was a science student before that. But at master's level, I was the first time I actually studied accounting myself. And I think the first course on fundamentals of accounting, which set us apart, was what is accounting? What is the basics of accounting? So that's what we're going to cover in the first course in term one, so that, you see a set of financial statements and you'll be able to understand what the hell is this thing talking about? What is the company trying to portray to its investors? So that's the idea about the fundamentals of accounting. Then the idea behind the other courses, for example, analyzing financial statements and ratios and using financial ratios, is there are various numbers in there. Numbers in financial statements are meant to be for different users and different purposes for different individuals. An investor will look at a numbers very different compared to someone who a company owes money. What numbers is he looking for? What is the investor after? What numbers does he want to see? So we're going to try and cover up how you analyze financial statements and financial ratios from that angle. And why is this important? Because when you are presenting, for example, if you're a financial manager and you're trying to explain your numbers to people in the board or other people, peer groups or external, shareholders or the public, you need to understand what you're trying to explain. So you don't want to be in a situation where, you're looking at numbers in a silo. You want to understand why you're looking at a number in a certain perspective. So then I briefly touched about, Vijay touched about order to cash in his presentation earlier, and then procure to pay. These are processes. But behind these processes, that's what I was trying to explain. A finance function, order to cash is a process, procure to pay is a process. But there is actually accounting standards behind these processes, which you need to understand. You need to know what these accounting standards are to actually deliver that process first. So when we do these courses, we're looking at it from a function perspective so that you understand, not only understand the technical accounting standards behind it, but also know if you're going on a job and you get a role within an order to cash process in a, say, in a global capability center or say an offshore center of a large MNC, you'll be ready to go and do your job. You'll know this is what the process is. In this process, say for a tech company, I'm actually supposed to follow, of course, there will be, every company has its own, set of standards and policies which you'll be equipped with when you start with them, but you'll know what they're talking about. You won't just sit with, the standard which you had learned in university in an MCOM course where you know that this is what a provision means, this is what a liability means, but then so what, that we are trying to answer the so what in this course. So the other very important thing within term one is MS Office. So MS Office, for example, wasn't taught to me at all at master's level, but we've incorporated that into this course because you can't live without MS Office. Really, we deal with MS Office and the, your VLOOKUPs, your various functions in MS Office. We use it, on a daily basis for everything. So just presenting tables, you want data in a certain format. You want the management wants to see the numbers in a certain format. So we are going to try and incorporate all the important functions, etc., which you need to use on a daily basis in your work life. So that's, again, for me, that stands out in a way in this course, because we're trying to, and even the assignments and projects you do while you're doing term one courses will not only, they won't be silo assignments. They will, your MS Office course assignment will be linked in with the other courses, say a function around, fundamentals of accounting, so that you know what, when to apply it, because we actually do it that way. We apply it in that manner in our daily lives at work. We want you to experience the same. So that's term one. Term two is a little less technical because after a heavy term one, you'd like a bit of a break from me. So term two will be a record to report. Now, record to report, though, is just one line there, but it actually is a lot of things. So, your presentation of financial statements, all your different types of financial statements, what are accounting policies, I don't want to get into all the technical jargon, but there's a lot to cover in record to report. Basically, that's the end output, right? What is the board going to see? What are you actually reporting? All the stuff you do in the background doesn't matter if the final output doesn't work out, right? So that's what it's going to cover. And to cover that off, you will also have soft skills, which you need to learn, and also report writing skills, etc. Who are you presenting a report to? Are you presenting it to the board? Are you presenting it to your internal stakeholders? Are you presenting it outside to, say, a bank who you want some money from for debt financing or something? How do you report? Report writing can be very critical and very, for some people you want to write more, for some people you want to write less. So we are going to try and cover all those things so that it is, again, very focused on what you will face in real life. So Vijay talked about that revenue recognition example. I'll dwell on it later. Apart from that, you will have soft skills to cover where, active listening, structured problem solving. So listening is a very important skill. We as consultants talk too much. We think we know everything. We should listen more. So we ourselves could also benefit from some of these courses, and if you listen properly, you will be able to do the job better. So this is what we don't understand a lot of times, and then Vijay and Meenakshi, etc., will take you through these things on the course. The next term, we will again go back to a lot of technical, apart with a bit of soft skills. So we will talk about tax effect accounting and reporting of those numbers. We will talk about treasury and banking operations. There are specific standards, accounting standards, which deal with that. So we will have specialists teaching that those things. I'm not a specialist in that, so we will have someone who actually deals with that on a daily basis at KPMG come and teach that. Then lease accounting. Lease accounting is a new standard. This has impacted all financial statements everywhere in the world for any lessee. So what does that mean? What is that? Yes, the standards come out, everything, a lot of stuff has come onto the balance sheet, but so what? So we're trying to answer the so what in this course so that when you go to work, you'll be able to answer the so what. Then Ind GAAP used to be the old accounting standards in India. Now everyone is transitioning into Indian accounting standards, which is the Ind AS, which is more aligned with international financial reporting standards. So what does that mean? What does that entail? What do you need to do to go through that process? What do you need to see? What are the standards which deal with the transition? So we will cover that off as well. Then, like I mentioned, business writing is something which, after a few 3-4 years, I've started getting a hold of that. Here, someone's actually, starting to give you the tips and tricks on how to use it. It's going to be very useful for you. That goes hand in hand with storytelling, I guess. So the next one is term 4. Again, there are a couple of things here which I'd like to cover off. So financial close. Financial close is a process. Again, as you see, we are covering off process and we are building up. But behind financial close, there is a lot of activities which happen during a financial close. In previous generations, when I used to be an auditor right up front, companies used to close 15 days after month end. Now it happens in this day 2, everything is closed, right? So what does that mean? So of course, everything needs to be more timely, everything needs to happen at a more, faster pace. So what do you actually face in real life? What are the steps you need to do? What are the accounting standards, etc.? What are the reports you've got to write? So we'll try and cover off those. The next course is a very unique course. It's in accounting for asset management companies. Again, there were a lot of discussions internally at KPMG before we actually put this course in, because several partners actually said that, if you're working in the financial services industry, for example, and I am basically a non-financial services guy, but if you are working in the financial services industry, you would have a lot of asset management companies which are looking to hire a lot of entry-level staff, the initial staff, and they are very focused on asset management. And there are a lot of companies like that, I will not name any here, but who are actually large companies globally who are ready to hire. But accounting for asset management companies is a totally different beast compared to the others. So we will cover off other aspects in the other courses where it's much more pervasive across, a lot of different sort of industries, technology, retail, your consumer and manufacturing goods, this and that. But we specifically called out this course just to cover on the demand, which is there on asset management companies, and more specifically, the processes which can differ from other companies. The last thing on that, so presentation and storyboarding, it will just be built on previous courses. And then negotiation skills. Negotiation skills is something which is very important to learn in everything, whether it be salary negotiation, whether it be negotiation with your own staff, negotiation with your boss, negotiation between Vijay and me, or Pratham and Vijay. So these are all things which, tips and tricks which you pick up during as you go on in your work life. But then someone's actually thought about putting this into a course, which is, I think, very good. The last bit is again term 5. So as you would see, term 4 again a little less technical heavy, but term 5 is a lot of technical. So a lot of technical, that this is when we are just closing it off. So you get, and very realistic things like insights into what is the Companies Act, what does that mean, what are the CSR regulations. That CSR means corporate social responsibility. So what are the regulations in there? What is fraud? What are we seeing in the market around corruption, asset misappropriation, etc. In the integrated reporting framework, this is a framework where nowadays companies reporting financials is a given, but what do you do about reporting the non-financials? What are the actual values which are driving your financial reporting? This actually may not be tangible, may not be numerical based. So how do you give life to that sort of reporting? We'll have an expert who will come and teach you that course. So then there's another, there's a new Caro presentation as well, Caro standards which have come up. We will be covering that, insider trading as well. The rest of the courses there are stuff which I covered off on. So we will be, giving you the confidence to go and speak in, with senior executives. So, not be, even though the new generation is quite savvy and is very, very open to speaking out loud, very different to our times, but the presence, to give you the confidence to go and try and speak to that. And then introduction to SAP, that is also we'll have a specialist come and teach you that, so that again, it's not, you won't be taught everything in SAP. However, what is relevant to a finance function? And I keep repeating this, what is relevant to a finance function? And someone's going to cover that off. Same goes with business analytics and the other tools. So this is the curriculum. And in the curriculum itself, you will have, like I briefly covered off, you will have assignments and projects to do. There will also be, time for you to consult with your teachers as well when you have questions around your courses, your assignments, your projects. So that will be your first 6 months of the curriculum, the teaching, the assignments, etc. After that is your 6-month virtual internship. So after the first 6 months of your immersive, teaching, education, and as we build up the blocks towards the internship, I think the 6-month virtual internship is where we are purposely building up the blocks in the first 6 months in such a way, even the courses will be designed in such a way, you will face real life scenarios. Well, so when you come to the internship, you've seen a lot of scenarios, and then the virtual internship is when you get thrown into do challenging work, which, for example, issues which we have faced in real life. And I can briefly touch on, on some things. Say, for example, Vijay talked about revenue recognition. It's not about only this is a contract which you have, and then you interpret that according to the technicalities and present to the board, but also what does that then mean from using Excel to actually churn out the numbers and then keep on using that, like the contract, Excel spreadsheet to keep churning out the numbers. And if challenges are thrown in from various angles, if a contract goes, bust, what do you do about it? How do you do things? So all these are examples of what you're going to face in your virtual internship, where we will throw you real life challenges, what we face every day. Clients call us and say, oh, Shubhra, I have this issue. This is what's happened. So we will try and put that into the virtual internship so that when you go out to, say, a GCC, for example, and you are in the finance function area of revenue recognition, for example, you'll be like, oh yeah, I solved this problem when in my internship, and you'll be able to deal with it. And you'll know what steps, very basic steps, but very practical steps. So Vijay, over back to you. I think I've done a lot of the talking now.
I think it's Pratham, it's over to you regarding talking about some of the boot camps and the on-campus events.
Awesome. So I think, thanks so much, Shubhra and Vijay. I think that was a great overview of the program, of the curriculum, of the rigorousness of the program as well. I think I'll talk about the slightly more lighter aspects of the program. See, the thing is that, some online programs tend to become very monotonous, right? So our effort would be to make sure that this program doesn't feel too different from an on-campus program that you guys are used to. You're in undergrad colleges, maybe many of your MBAs, right? So we want to recreate that campus experience in this entire online program. I know it's going to be hard to do, but that's what we are gunning towards, right? And I'll give you a few examples of what we are trying to do. So we'll start on the left. So you see a bunch of boot camps and workshops, right? Other than the curriculum that we'll be working on, we'll also touch on other financial aspects, right? So, let me start from the bottom. We'll have a boot camp on corporate finance, on stock and capital markets, and my favorite, on crypto trading, right? These are new fintech concepts that being aware of will really help, right? So we want to cover these aspects in addition to the core curriculum, right? These are also great conversation starters for interviews, etc. More often than not, the interviewer would want to get to know you and understand what you know more than the curriculum, right? And I think that's what's going to set you apart. So, we'll have these boot camps that we are very excited for. Second, we'll have a lot of interesting sort of workshops around understanding finance in a very alternative way, right? So let me give you an example. We're going to have this boot camp where we'll teach you certain accounting methodologies by studying how fraud takes place, right? We'll actually understand how some companies have conducted fraud in the past and understand how to, first of all, prevent that. And second, how, these loopholes get taken advantage of, etc., right? So all of these interesting interventions, in the form of workshops and boot camps will keep the content very latest, very interesting, very, relevant to what you will be doing later in life, right? And also this is plain interesting. We want to make sure that this online program doesn't become, a program where you sort of log in and then you take notes, right? You're not truly engaged. Here, you'll be doing more of the talking than us, right? The teachers are essentially the facilitators. You'll be the one doing most of the participation. So those are the boot camps and workshops. And on the other side, we have on-campus events and meetups. So as you guys know, we have a campus in Gurgaon, and we also have small satellite campuses across the country. And we'll talk in more detail about that if there are questions, where, we will conduct these small meetups where you can come and meet your cohort mates, right? You can meet your peers and discuss, of course, your project work that you're doing in the class, but also you can sort of collaborate on, cultural activities that you did in college, right? Or in school. We'll have a theater club, we'll have a tech club, we'll have a sports club, and we'll try to sort of learn together in the community. This is incredibly important because I think, if you go back to your college lives, the thing that you remember the most is your friends and the learnings you had with your friends, right? It's when you became president of the student union, it's when you performed on the stage. And that's also incredible learning. So we don't want to miss that. And you want to bring that and make it part of the curriculum, right? As much as your schedule allows, of course, right? So none of this is compulsory. This is something that's completely opt-in, but we want you to build a community just like you had one in college, Of course, we use Discord. I don't know how many of you know about Discord. If you can quickly just raise your hand if you know Discord, I'll be able to see how many of you know about Discord. Oh, wow, 40, 50, 60. Awesome. I think a lot of you guys know about Discord. But, we'll use Discord to sort of be on top of things, right? To collaborate on questions that people have during the class, that's going on, to collaborate on other aspects beyond the curriculum, to talk about these workshops, like the risk analysis of the, shale gas extraction project. We'll talk about why we protected the entire buyback of shares back in 2020, right? All of these discussions can take place in a very live community environment of Discord. Discord was actually founded as a gaming collaboration platform, but now it's become a lot more than that because it's incredibly easy and fun to use. And finally, of course, as I mentioned, most of the courses, and as Shubhra and Vijay also added, will have a lot of hands-on assignments, right? And for these assignments, you'll have to collaborate with your peers. So let's say your cohort is, 60 to 100 people, you'll get to know them really well because you'll be collaborating with them on projects, and your groups will keep changing, right? So in one class, it might be, 5 students, and in another class, you'll have a different group of 5 students. So I think that's how learning will be very active and very interactive as well, right? So we are, looking forward to seeing how you guys sort of make friends with each other, how you guys, perhaps, 2 of you get together and, want to start an accounting firm, or maybe I just saw in questions that some of you are lawyers as well. So maybe, you guys want to start a corporate law practice. So, we want this serendipity to take place as well, right? Which happens only in colleges. I also hope that, someone will get married, like 2 people meet here and get married. We can always hope for them, something like that. But that's when we know that the program has had a true impact. And I think the second thing that I wanted to speak about was the career development journey, right? This is incredibly important. One of the reasons that, we're not, even Vijay and Subro and even our team, we're not very excited about online programs because online programs never focus on placements, jobs, career development, right? What they say is that, okay, we'll teach you the skill and then you're on your own. And I think that is basically saying that, hey, I don't take responsibility of what I'm teaching. I'm not confident in my teaching. So I think that's what we want to change. We want to, create an online program where, of course, it's online and it has some offline components, as I mentioned in the previous slide, but there's also a large placement component, right? And that's why, the internship is a very integral part of the program. But beyond the internship, we'll have throughout the year these inputs that will go directly into your career development, right? So, of course, right in the beginning, we'll allot you a mentor from KPMG in India, right? Who will help you sort of understand, what it is that you can get out of this program, and also, help you plan your career, right? Should I go for an R2P? Should I go for O2P? What kind of a exact role I'll be comfortable with? All those understandings you'll get with that mentor. The second, of course, is personal branding. This is where we come in and we say, hey, how does your LinkedIn look right now, right? the interviewer as well as the HR person who will be shortlisting your profile will just take a look at your LinkedIn, and the first 10 seconds more often than not make a judgment whether they're going to take you or not, right? So we're going to try and make sure that all those aspects of your CV, of your LinkedIn, of even the image that you have on LinkedIn, right? What image you upload, right? Can have a huge impact on your job outcomes. So we'll try and optimize all of those things. In step 3, we'll of course talk about business etiquettes, grooming, when you enter an interview, how you should be. If you're doing an interview on Zoom, what sort of a background you should have, what should you be wearing? All of those things will sort of be very important from a career development standpoint. Then of course we'll have role-based workshops. This is where we talk about certain things that we don't cover in curriculum, like conflict management in a workplace, right? You need to know if you don't agree with somebody in your workplace, how do you sort of make that argument? How do you present that? Because many jobs have personal interview and group discussion as part of the criteria, where they're trying to judge these things, right? How easy would you be to work with, right? You might know the content, but if you're just not a very good person, who can't handle conflict well, you're just not the right fit, right? And especially for an organization of the stature of the big fours and the large consulting firms, they really care about what kind of a team player you are, right? So those are the things you'll be working on as well. And then of course the last 4 steps are focused on cracking the job, right? It's about interviews, outreach plan, figuring out which are the top 5 dream companies you have, which are the next 5 reach companies you have, and then which are the next 5 safe companies you have, developing that chart, and then starting to optimize your CV and your narrative, right, for that role. So if you, let's say, are going after company A, right, and we know that the company A has certain values, has certain standards, has certain criteria, right? We'll start making sure that our CV and our narrative, our story, actually reflects all of those things that the company wants, right? And that's how you have to be intelligent about your outreach, about your career preparation plan. And then, of course, salary negotiation workshops we'll do. That's a great problem to have when you have when you get to negotiate. But that'll be towards the end of the program, of course. And then, of course, we'll have the placement drives. So, my hope is that by the end of this entire program, all of you guys are placed. One question that I can see coming in is that, do you give placement guarantee? Nobody in the world gives placement guarantee. And if you want placement guarantee, then this is perhaps not the correct program for you. What we can assure you is that you'll have a great learning experience and that you will probably get interviewed at a bunch of places. Now, whether you crack that interview will totally depend on your GPA, what kind of scores you have in this program, right? This is not going to be a program where either you pass or fail. You actually have a grade, right? And your grade will be visible to your recruiter. So how well have you scored in the program? Have you been participative in the program? Have you, joined all these workshops and participated in those workshops? All those things will decide whether you finally crack the interview or not, right? Bringing the companies is our job, but cracking the interviews is yours completely, right? And we will make sure that we play our part, but you at the end of the day, have to close the deal, if I can use that terminology. I think that's essentially all about the program. Vijay and Shubhro, if there's anything that you'd like to add at this point before we move on to the admissions process.
No, I'm good. I think you've covered everything.
We have done these workshops before as well, these webinars, these info sessions. So we are actually towards the end of our round 1 deadline, which is actually in just a couple of days. So if you guys are interested, you should apply by the 20th of January. And then, our process is very, very quick. We'll schedule an interview, after which we'll give you an admissions decision within 4 days, right? We have a large interview team that will be sort of on top of this and make sure that we're able to give these decisions out by 24th January. And we will start the program early February. And of course, we'll have round 2 as well, but exactly when and how that will work, that will totally depend on, COVID, etc. There are a lot of other variables. So if I think you're interested, this is the time to apply. The fee structure, I think for the entire program, including the placements, including on-campus engagements, including everything, is approximately 2.25 lakhs, and plus the GST, of course. And, more often than not, people end up choosing, to pay through a no-cost EMI. And that would approximately be, a little less than 10,000 rupees per month. just to give you that context, right? We of course have scholarships as well that Masters Union gives. We have enough of those, of course we have merit-based scholarships, but we also have need-based scholarships, and when you apply, we'll get into more detail about the scholarships, and you can of course in the interview as well talk about your need for the scholarships. But essentially, we want to make sure that if you're the right fit for the program, you can do the program. That'll be our intention, and that'll be our effort. So I'll stop right here. It's been 50 minutes that we've been speaking, and I know we have a lot of questions. And there is one question I think that I've seen a bunch of times, and I think Vijay and Shubhro, you can handle this the best, which is, who is this program for exactly? I know we covered this already, but can you give a few examples of who will benefit the most from this program and who might not benefit from this program, right? And I think we can spend a good 2-3 minutes on this.
So this program, the way we have designed it, it is for anyone who wants to enter the career of finance. So which means that people, let's say with a BCom, with let's say a BA or BSc, who want to do this who want to enter, have a career in finance, the program is meant for that. Do you need prior knowledge in accounting, etc.? It's not required. We'll, like Shubhro said, we're going to start from the basics, right? Now, coming to the point as to for whom this program, this program is not for what kind of people. This program is not for, I would say, undergraduate students who are in first year, second year. I think it's a little early. I don't think this is a time for you to, because whatever you learn, it is directly applicable for someone to get a job in the finance field. Right. So, but if you are early in your undergrad, then this is definitely not for you. And I would say if there are, I also saw a bunch of questions where will it help me get into corporate finance, or it'll help me what about investment banking? So the thing is, as far as corporate finance go, the starting point for any corporate finance professional is finance and accounting. Usually you don't get into corporate finance directly straight out of college. One has to go through the whole finance sort of a thing. So that's, just wanted to kind of set that context. Shubhra, do you want to add anything to this?
I think Vijay, you've covered most of it. I would have said the same thing about that question regarding investment banking and corporate finance and valuations. If that's your area of interest, this is probably not the course. However, having said that, if you want to work in the finance function of an investment bank or one of those valuation companies where you're doing the actual accounting side of things, then yes, then this is valid for you, but not the front end investment banking or corporate finance or valuations.
I think, just to summarize, I think essentially, the start of any advanced finance job, even if it's investment banking, venture capital, private equity, at the end of the day, the basics is going to be finance and accounting, right? If you don't have the basics right, you can't really sort of, target for those kind of roles. So this is the base that you have to build. Another question that is very interesting is that, what if someone's done their undergrad in, let's say, in marketing, but they want to get into finance, or they've done their undergrad in law and they want to sort of, marry law with finance. Is the program correct for them?
I believe so, yeah. It's absolutely fine. As long as they have an acumen to learn accounting and not too scared with numbers. This is not really that challenging, I think, in this modern day and age of calculators and Excel spreadsheets. So if they're okay with that, I believe, because it's very common, for example, in overseas to combine, double degrees in arts and commerce or law and finance. So there's no reason why. In fact, some of the best forensic accountants have a double degree in law and accounting. So you get to experience both sides.
And one more thing, just to add, the second year students, if you've already started your second year, by the time if you're about to finish your second year, which will be the case for the people who are currently in their second year, for them, the program is correct because by the time you graduate, you will be in the job market. So for you, it would make sense. But if you are a complete fresher just out of high school, then probably, you can wait for a few months. So that's one point. Vijay, there is this one question that, we should have expected, which is, will KPMG consider us as in the students for full-time positions after the internship?
Short answer is yes. Short answer is yes. I definitely would want to, however, caveat this by saying that at the time when someone graduates, we'll have to just see whether what's the business requirement at that point in time. And this is a caveat for every job or every position or every institute that we go to. But the thing is that short answer is yes. Anybody who's doing this program is eligible to apply for full-time positions. Of course, you have to go through the selection process, and cracking the job in KPMG is completely dependent on you. We'll have to you'll have to get selected through the selection process. There has to be a business requirement, and then of course the opportunities are available to you.
Vijay, do you think that it'll be fair to call the program an equivalent to, let's say, a master's degree in finance, an equivalent in terms of learning, not the certification, of course?
I'll tell you what the program does for you. Okay. And I'll also, Shubhro, since you are a master's in finance, so I would let you answer that question as well. But let me tell you what this program will do for you. It is essentially going to prepare you for entry-level jobs in finance. So that as a student, or as a young professional, you want to get into finance. How do I get into finance? We will give you just the right level of skills to get that job, right? So now, whether it is equivalent to finance or to a master's or not, I will let Shubhro answer that. A lot of it, I would say in terms of topics, etc., a lot of it we cover. What you do in masters, you typically would cover. But what we are leaning more towards giving you a very practical orientation in finance. That's the I would say the USP of the course. Shubhro, do you want to add anything? Whether this is equivalent to masters?
I wouldn't say it's equivalent to masters in terms of the tenure of the program as well. Like sometimes masters can last for 2 years, etc. But like Vijay mentioned, this provides you the practical tools. We will cover most of the relevant technical content, what you need to be successful in your job and in your first finance job, as well as make you industry ready to what is needed to, actually what is needed in the industry. That's what we're looking to cover here in this course. Hopefully that answers that question.
I think that makes complete sense. There's a question about, the logistics of the course. I can take that. Essentially, the course will take place, as Vijay mentioned, over the weekends, and this will be scheduled in a way that it makes sense for everybody. So it'll be very convenient that way. And of course, yes, recordings of the live lectures would be available in case you miss the sessions. We'll be using a learning management system where you'll find everything, in place when you come back the next day. What is the time commitment that we can expect from this course? I think that's a very pertinent question. Vijay, do you want to take this?
Yeah, sure. So first and foremost, there will be 6 hours of classes every week or every weekend. So with the 3 hours, Saturday, Sunday, or Friday, Saturday, and the entire 6 month long or year long schedule we'll release in parts, but that's the broad thing. Apart from that, this course is going to be very hands-on. And what I mean by hands-on is that if suppose you learned a concept today, you will also get an assignment. And to do that assignment, on an average, you would also need about 5 to 6 hours during the week. Let's say an hour a day, just to kind of simplify it. So it's a total commitment of anything between 10 to 12 hours in a week is what we are thinking.
And there's a very interesting question, which is how is that, we can get packages upwards of 4, 5, 6 lakhs in just over a year of training / mentorship. The student is asking, it seems too good to be true, and I would love to be proved wrong. I can take that, and Vijay, I think you can add to it. I think the most important thing here is that there are jobs available in the market, right? It's just that, and they're very high-paying jobs available in the market as well. It's just that those jobs are not getting filled because our education system, our BCom, BBA education system in certain colleges is not doing justice to the kind of expectations and the needs of the industry, right? So if you have the skills, right? And the skills can be learned in a short period of time also, and may not be learned over a 5-year program also. So if the skills are there, right, and if you can crack the interview, then who's stopping you from, getting that higher package as well, right? As Vijay mentioned, there are certain packages that are upwards of 20-25 lakhs as well, right? And if you're able to build that skill, build that narrative, and if you're smart, in the interview, why not? Is the question. The thing is that, the market is very transparent. You can just go to LinkedIn, you can go to Naukri.com, you can go to Monster, and you can see, which are the jobs there, right? And you can see exactly how much on offer. The only thing is that we don't train students well enough. But I think with KPMG coming into the picture and, teaching exactly what they hire for, I think will really be the reason why, the numbers will be achieved. And we've done this in the past as well, right? And of course, you should definitely go on to mastersunion.org and check out the placement report for our other programs, right? And how well those students have done. Again, those are completely public, and please, I would recommend that you guys do check it out. Vijay, do you want to add to that?
No, I think you've hit the nail on the head. I think this question whether it's too good to be true. What I would say is that you should just go to Naukri.com and search for entry-level finance jobs, or as some of the other terms like order to cash or record to report. Just go to those. Search for those kind of jobs, and then you see what package people are offering. You see what kind of skills people are asking for. So we don't have to tell you anything. You can just do your research yourself, and then you can see whether 4, 5 lakhs, 6 lakhs, is it too good to be true, or are the jobs real?
I think our education system has decreased our expectations from ourselves. Even if the opportunity is there, I think that's really what we need to change the mindset. There's another question, which is, what are the important technical skills that are required to get into a finance field in terms of softwares, tools? I think Shubhro, you can take this one.
When you say technical skills, I'm a technical accountant. So I talk about technical accounting. So of course, you need to know your accounting standards. You still need to know it in whichever part of the finance function you're working on. So that is one aspect. The other technical skills, which Pratham is probably alluding to, is the IT skills or the relevant IT skills. So, your MS Offices, your introduction to SAP, your business analytics, data visualization, Power BI. So these are the other things which is used on a regular basis by entry-level finance function people, as well as people, even mid-level finance function people who use it to report numbers. So those are the sort of technology skills, as well as technical accounting skills, which we are hoping to cover. We will be covering in this course.
I see a lot of questions about, if in your undergrad you have not done finance, can you still be part of this program if you want to get into the finance industry? Yes. I mean, I'm just reiterating, we've taken this question before also, but yes, if you don't have a finance background, that's completely all right. We are assuming that you're coming in with no finance background. There's a very interesting question, which is, I'm currently doing law in my final year. Is it anyway? Yes. I think we already answered this question as well. How can students who are pursuing chartered accountancy along with BCom pursue this course? A very specific question. I think Shubhro, Vijay, either of you can take this.
I can have a crack, Vijay. So that's a very interesting one. I did see that in the questions aspect as well. So CA dives into much more detail in terms of real strong technical know-how and a lot of more detail in terms of what a chartered accountant needs to be. I'm a chartered accountant myself, and I did CA after I did my master's, right? So you're doing CA already. However, if you believe that you want to enter the finance function and keep pursuing the CA on the side or do it, there's no reason why you can't do this course at the side, because what we are focusing on is the practical element. So I'll give you a brief example. So when I was doing my CA, I'm an Australian chartered accountant. So when I was doing my CA, you had to put together a cash flow statement in projects here. That was a very, very difficult thing to do, because there was a full scope, process to put a merger and acquisition together for a set of stats and do the cash flow. So we are trying to incorporate those sort of practical elements from, things we've seen in our life into this course, which I'm not sure is done in a 3-hour CA exam. It may happen, I don't know. But so that's what you'll actually be doing in real life. So that aspect. So if you're doing a CA and you're going through with it, there's no reason why you can't do this as well on the side if you think it's relevant.
Sorry, but just an extension to the same question. Can you also sort of lay out the land for us in terms of ACCA, chartered accountancy, this particular course? What is the landscape? When does one go?
Sure. So CA, ACCA, CPA, these are all professional qualifications, right? In my view, you'll always be a very good technical accountant once if you've done your internship, articleship in a good institution. If you've done your chartered accountancy properly, it makes you a technical accountant specialist in doing technical accounting. Let me reiterate that, like I am, right? But I wasn't ready in any way to go and work in a finance function. So I was more ready to work in, to start out as an auditor more than I was able to. I didn't even know what happens in the finance function. What does the other side hold in terms of what do you actually face on a regular basis in the finance function? So I think that's where we keep reiterating in this, is that we're trying to help you enable that, so that you will be ready to face the world in an actual finance function, which is where most of these jobs which are being talked about on Naukri.com, etc., they're asking for a person who can start with R2R or O2C or something.
I think there's another question around, whether, what is the difference between what finance you learn in an MBA program versus this program, right? Vijay, you want to take that?
I think the answer is very similar to what Subro just said. While your CA and CA, ACCA, some of these exams give you a very good grounding from a technical accounting standpoint, where you could get into auditing or some of those kind of roles. MBA finance can lead you to some of the finance roles in the organization, right? But this is something that in our program we are targeting the entry-level finance jobs, right? So that's the way we should look at it. Shubhra, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I'll just add a small bit to it. So I'm not an MBA, so I don't want to put an MBA degree down, but in any way. But when you're doing an MBA, you start off and you do a basic financial accounting course. You do a very basic financial accounting course, and then you do other stuff. What do I mean by other stuff? You do marketing, you do HR, you do organizational leadership, you do things together, and then you choose which specialization you want to do, and then you do courses which help you then get into investment banking, into strategy consulting, those sort of things. What you build on that finance and accounting, this you have that building block. Here we are doing that building block, like I said, in term one, but then this after that focuses on the finance function. So what if you were to join the finance function? An MBA from a top-notch B school may not always join the finance function in that way. So this is, that's what I mean. Like if you go to investment bank, the MBAs will do the front-end investment banking jobs. This is for the accounting side of things, the finance function. So I think that is a very key aspect here we need to look at. So this is somewhere, in my view, that gives you more accounting and accounting knowledge beyond the MBA, but maybe not as much as technical knowledge as what you'll face in an ACCA or a chartered accounting. Is that fair enough?
Yeah, I think just to summarize that, I think you can look at it as MBA on one spectrum and CA on the other spectrum, and we are somewhere in the middle when it comes to finance. I think this should put all the questions to rest, because literally I see 70 questions about the same question. So I think again, I'll just repeat that MBA is less finance heavy. A CA is very finance heavy, and this is somewhere in the middle, right? And this is preparing you for finance roles, in consulting firms, in startups, in family businesses, right? In banks, etc. Entry-level finance, right? The first finance role that you go for. We'll put that to rest. We will not get into this. Can engineering grads get into this program? Yes, of course. If you want to get into finance, then this is the right program. This is the first step into finance, essentially, right? First step into the finance. So if you come with years of finance experience, and if you think your finance and accounting skills are very good, then perhaps this is not the right program for you. Only in the case that you want to get into finance and already have financial skills, only in that case is this program not correct for you. Let me just put that to rest as well. This is a very interesting question. Vijay, will the virtual internship be on weekends, just as the classes are?
See, virtual internship will have two components to it, right? One component is you who will be doing the project or the assignment, right? So that you can do, whenever it is convenient for you. And then some of these virtual internship programs or virtual internship projects or assignments, etc., that you'll be working on, sometimes it will be in groups. So you'll have to figure out between your own group, when do you want to do it? There'll be things that you do individually. So that's completely out of, completely dependent on you. The second part of the internship would be your interaction with the instructor or your mentor or somebody who will be assigned, whether in a group or an individual basis, right? Those things will typically happen over the weekend. From a design standpoint, for this course, we are saying all interactions will happen during the weekends, right? But having said that, I mean, that's the broad principle that we will follow. But having said that, sometimes everyone in the group and the instructor agrees that we'll meet on a Wednesday. We won't stop that.
So it's self-paced in that sense.
Yes, it's self-paced.
Got it. The course comprises of how many students? In one cohort, there'll be approximately 70, 80 students, but there'll be parallel cohorts running, right? So in your cohort, there'll be around, as I mentioned, 70, 80 students. Is the internship paid or unpaid? That's a good question as well, Vijay.
It's not paid. Short answer.
Short answer. This is part of the program, guys. This is not an internship that you're going to be interviewed for separately. This is an internship that becomes part of the program itself. That's why it's unpaid. There's a question which is, would placements be conducted just like we have in college, like drives? Yes. So you'll actually have placement drives where companies will come and interview you, just like it happens in colleges. It depends on which college, but many colleges now follow this. There's a very good question, which is how diverse is the cohort going to be? So there are two kinds of diversities that we think about, right? One is geographical diversity. So I think from a geography standpoint, I was just checking the people who are on this, who are all the attendees. I think they are from almost 15 to 16 states. I think they're pan-India. So geographically, it's very diverse. And in terms of diversity of backgrounds, I think you can safely assume that 50% of the students will come from a BCom or BBA background, and 50% would be coming from perhaps, an arts or liberal arts or tech, journalism, communications, pharma, all these other backgrounds, right? So 50% would be people coming from business backgrounds and 50% would be non-business backgrounds, law as well. Should an ACCA enroll for this? I think we've already covered this. No. So there's a question around what mentorship program looks like. How does the mentorship really work? Vijay, do you want to take this?
Mentorship, it'll happen on a couple of different levels. One is, as a part of the course, you'll be given assignments. And when you're doing an assignment, you will require support on an ongoing basis. Let's say the assignment, you're supposed to complete the assignment over, let's say, 3 weeks. It's not that we give you assignment on one day and then after 3 weeks, you show up and give the assignment. It never happens like that. You will have doubts. You will want some clarification on certain concepts, some guidance. And you will, and that's exactly how the mentorship is going to work. By and large, the assignments that we will give will be in groups. So some of this mentorship will be in groups, and then there will be some individual assignments as well. And when the individual assignments happen, then you will get individual time from the instructors. So there are two ways from an assignment standpoint. And finally, I think when the placements, etc., are starting, and then let's say you have an interview, a final interview with a very a dream job, and you want some inputs as to, hey, how do I crack this, right? You can reach out to your instructor or your mentor, and he or she will help you out.
And the key aspect, I think, in there is that's exactly what happens in the real world. Yeah. So when you're trying to solve a problem and you give, no one sits with you and will handhold you and guide you you have a crack at it first. And then, you work together with your boss or your mentor to solve the problem. That's the approach we're trying to make this. So it's very practical. Yes, in the end, when you've got your interview and all that, if you choose me to be, worth anything, and after I've taught you the course, of course, you can reach out to me and I can, sit and guide you through what you can expect in an interview.
And Vijay and Shubhra, there's a very interesting question, which is, if I'm currently doing BCom, the syllabus that I'm taught, how much of that syllabus would be similar in this program?
I'll take that, Vijay. So there will be elements of the program which will be similar. There's no, when you're talking about technical accounting standards, it's the same standard, right? However, I think, like, reiterate, what we're bringing to this is to be a refresher to an extent, but more from, in the corporate world, which side of your, what will you be focusing on in terms of the finance function, and what will you be actually, you never cover off every part of the accounting standard. We will cover off what you need to cover off, and there will be areas which are similar, but I'm sure the practical elements will be quite different to what you cover off in a generic BCom degree.
And over and above that, what we will cover is, like I mentioned earlier, tools like SAP, Power BI or Tableau, all the analytics skills, visualization, storytelling, and then of course all your soft skills. And so those are I would say equally important than the technical financial skills that we talked of.
Awesome. So there's another question, which is, what is the probability of getting accepted? See, when we do the interview, we'll try to understand whether this program is right for you, and also we'll try to ascertain whether you're serious about this program, and are you serious about the placement process, you're serious about a career in finance, right? And if all those things align, I think the probability is high, right? But if you feel that you're not serious about the program, and if you're just doing this to pass time, or just for the brand name, in that case, I think we'll tell you that it's probably not the right fit for you. So there's a question about scholarships. So let me just cover that. There's certain limited number of scholarships that are available. And as you apply, we'll try to ascertain whether you're the right fit for the scholarship. And scholarship has different natures and different characters. So you can actually check the scholarships, the 3 available scholarships on the website. And when you apply, you can apply for one of those. And then in the interview, we'll have a deeper discussion to understand the needs, and then we'll take it from there. So there's a question which is interesting about the internship project, which is that, in case, someone's already employed at another company and they do this virtual internship, will there be any sort of a legal conflict?
No, I don't think there will be a legal conflict here, because the virtual internship is essentially a set of projects designed to give you a real world feel of working in a finance function. So that's how we have designed it. It's not like you're coming inside KPMG to do this project, right? So you're not going to come inside. So that's why we're calling it a virtual internship. So I don't think there'll be any legal issues.
So there's a question about the selection process as to what will be the interview process that you have to go through. So I think it'll be an interview with either a master or with someone from Masters Union, where we'll just try to understand who you are and what your needs are, what your goals are, right? So I think it'll just be a very you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to take any coaching or anything for this interview. We don't make it very hard, and we don't bite, right? So, we just want to understand who you are and why you want to do this program. I think that's essentially the core, right? And then, of course, if you have any questions, we'll want to answer those as well. There's a question whether internship is guaranteed. Yes, so the internship is part of the program, right? There is no separate interview that you'll have at that time, at the time of the internship. Awesome, guys. I think a lot of the questions got covered. If there are any other questions, and if you asked a question previously and I missed it, if you can just type it out again, we can take it up. Akash has a question. What is the approximate package that you can expect after the course? Akash, it totally depends on you. I think if you do a good job, I think the average could be higher. If you don't spend as much time, working on the content, it could be on the lower end of the spectrum, but the spectrum is going to range from 4 to 5 lakhs, anywhere to 15 to 16 lakhs, right? It totally depends on how you perform in the program.
Yeah. Can I add something? I think this question of package has come multiple times. So what I would urge all of you, and I've said this before, is to go to any job portal, look for the finance job, the keywords, and just check out what kind of package people are offering, different companies are offering. And depending on your profile, suppose you have a couple of years of experience, and in a finance, in a finance domain, so what a 2-year experienced person, how much are they getting? So, and that will be your benchmark. That's the answer to your question, really.
I'm sure you guys are intelligent enough to do that Naukri.com research, and all the answers are actually available. That's all public. Mangesh has a question, which is that he did his PG in commerce in 2013 and is doing a job in a small size CA firm. Is it good to go for this course? Mangesh, probably not. If you've been working in a CA firm for the last 8 years, this program is probably not right for you. But in case you have not been in a finance function in those 8 years, in that case, it might be right for you, right? So when you apply and you do the interview, we can go through those details. But on the face of it, it does not look like you'll be the right fit. Will we get a certificate after the program? Yes, you will get a certificate that will be co-signed by Masters Union and KPMG. Are first year students eligible for this course? I mean, you are eligible, but we're not sure how much value you will drive from this course. If you're still in your first year, I think if you're very motivated for finance, sure, this might be for you. But I would suggest that first year, you should focus on your curriculum in college, and wait a few months, start your second year, and when you're in the middle of your second year, I think that would be the right time. Mayank, I think it might be a little bit earlier for you. But again, if your focus is finance, and if you're curious about finance, and if you're going to learn finance, then sure. Parki has a question. Parki, if you can retype your question, I don't understand it very clearly. What is the worth of this course in real world? Just try to rephrase it. I'll get to it. Abhishek has a question that, my English is not fluent. Is this course suitable for me? If you could understand us, you'll be fine, right? If you couldn't understand this presentation, then perhaps not, right? How is this program helpful to people coming from banking domain or right now working in banking sector?
I mean, the thing is that, see, if you're working in the banking industry, but you are not in the finance function, then this course definitely will help. You're in retail banking. So if you're in retail banking, there are a lot of different types of jobs, whether it is operations or sales, or there can be a lot of different other functions in retail banking. But if you want to get into finance in banking, absolutely, this is the right course for you.
Would corporates consider this course while hiring? If you write it on your CV, of course, they will consider it. What is Masters Union looking for in a student who is going to apply? I think our most important criteria is whether you're open to learning new things, right? If you are motivated and if you're serious about your career, I think these are the 3 things we look at. And if those 3 checks are there, we'll find a way to make this program work for you. Vijit has a question, which is, what if I'm doing CA side by side? Will this help me in eventually, clearing my CA maybe a few years down the line?
You can do your CA. This will have the practical elements to it, I guess. So it will, we will cover off simulations, etc., which you will face in real life. So when you finish your CA and you want to get into the finance function, it may help you. But if you're doing the CA, I think concentrate on that. You've got lots to study.
Short answer is that if you're doing CA, you don't need to do this course.
Vivek has a question that he's already placed in a finance role. And are they going to provide training at the time of joining? You'll have to ask the company that you're joining, Vivek, but I hope so. Fee concession for weak financial background. Ritesh, that is something that, during the interview, you can speak to us about. Kavita ji, you have a question that you completed your BCom in 2010, and then you've been preparing for competitive exams and doing job on small scale. Is it useful for you? If you want to get into finance, yes, definitely. How will this course benefit working professionals? Ashutosh, I think we've covered this, but essentially, if as a working professional, you want to go, into a finance role now, let's say you were, doing some other kind of a function, maybe you were in sales or marketing, and now you want to get into finance and build a career in finance, then this would be a great first step in that direction. Tejas, you have a gap in your career. That's all right. I think that's something that we can talk about during the interview. Yash has a question that whether only Indian accounting standards will be taught or international accounting standards will also be taught.
International accounting standards will be covered.
Awesome. I think that is a very clear answer. What is the mandatory attendance criteria? So essentially, we want you to benefit from this program, and all the classes are going to be live, and there'll be exercises and assignments at the end of each class. So essentially, if you don't attend, you cannot expect to get the outcome, that we spoke about earlier in terms of placements, etc. Right? So that's why the attendance is mandatory. You're working in a private bank for the last 6 years. Is this course relevant for me? Only if you have not been in a finance role in the bank. Maybe you were doing a more managerial role, or maybe in sales, or maybe in risk, right? So from there, if you want to get into finance role, then yes, this program is relevant for you. All right, a lot of repetitive questions, guys.
There's a question I've seen somebody, I think a number of times it's come up, is that are we going to get a separate certificate for internship? No, I don't think we're going to give a separate certificate for internship. It is a single certificate that you're going to get. But I think what we will do is that we'll have a credentials page, which will tell you what all you have done, how many course hours you've done, what is the internship that you're in, so that if you put it up on, let's say, LinkedIn, in your LinkedIn profile, you've put this course, and somebody clicks on it, they'll see exactly what you've done.
Tirumala, if you're in the wealth management space, yes, of course. I think if you want to go deeper into finance, then this would be a good program.
I think there's been a question around, is this equivalent to an internship within KPMG? I think what we're trying to do is, if physical interns would come in, they wouldn't be, given a lot of magic work, right? We solve client problems, and these are the type of problems we're trying to solve in the internship here as well. So whether it be, when I was an intern in KPMG in Singapore, I used to photocopy, doing a lot of photocopying in the photocopy center. You won't be doing that. You'll be actually solving problems. So our interns would do similar stuff as well, if that answers your question.
Yes, Vidyanathan, final year students are eligible. Yes, of course. Can you please repeat the fees portion, because it is not clear to me? The fees details are very clearly mentioned on the website. We won't be able to go into too much detail, but Shrindhi, if you just go to the website, you'll find everything. Where you signed up for this program, just scroll down and you'll find it there. Nikhil has a question, which is this course same as FP&A, Financial Planning and Analysis?
No, FP&A is a completely different skill set. It's in finance itself, but it's FP&A jobs are typically, you get into FP&A jobs when you have a few years of finance experience. So ideally what would happen is, let's say you do this course and you get into an entry-level finance job, you work for 2, 3 years, 4 years. And once you've done that, once you've got enough exposure, that's when you get into an FP&A job. So that's it's not FP&A.
Kushal has a question. Can a student of 4th semester pursuing BCom from DU, is this program going to be helpful? Yes, Kushal. I think it'll be a very good fit. Is this course available every year? Vishal, I think we'll make this course available every few months, right? But if you're interested, you can apply now. Rekha has a question that she's completed 2 years experience in banking sector in sales. Is this program relevant for me? I think you meant that, Rekha. Yes. If you want to get into finance, as I mentioned, then yes. MBA finance first semester, is it suitable for me? If you want to go deeper into finance, because MBA finance is going to be more basic finance, this finance will be slightly more deeper. So if finance is your eventual goal in terms of job, then yes. Okay, there are over 100 more questions. Okay, I think we have to let Vijay and Shubhro go. Guys, if you have any questions absolutely at all, let us just give you an email address where you can email us the questions and we'll get back to you, because I don't think we'll be able to take there over 100 more. And I think we have covered most of the questions. Many are repetitive, but no problem. If you have a question, feel free to just email us at mastercampadmissions@mastersunion.org. That's again, mastercampadmissions@mastersunion.org. I hope everyone got that. It's in the chat for everybody to see. Please, if you have any questions, feel free to message. We've spent a lot of time today. So thank you so much, Vijay and Shubhro. This was great. I think we got into a lot of detail, and I think we managed to answer at least 60 to 70 questions. So great doing that. I hope, when the course actually starts, students have still so many questions. Thanks so much, everyone. Guys, I really appreciate you coming in and staying over for more than 96 minutes. I hope that, this was helpful to you guys, and we'll sign off from here. Thanks, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.